And what's happening, YouTube land, friends and family and followers of the Money Lab? Again, this is our soft video opening before we fire it up, top of the hour on the audio only side. I have our guest here, Edward Kim. Say what's up.
What's up?
It's going to be a fun show because we're going to let it flow however we want to let it flow. And let me go ahead and fire it up on the Spreaker side. So quiet on the set. We're launching it off.
Money makes a world go round. It makes a world go round. Money makes a world go round. It makes a
All right, welcome to the Money Lab Live Podcast, episode number 80, the Going Broke, Taking Care of Family Money story.
Yeah, money make a world go round.
All right, welcome back to another live broadcast of the Money Lab podcast from the Six Figure Academy. I'm your host, Wei Hong from the Six Figure Academy, and this is the podcast where we give you tips, strategies, and interviews with other entrepreneurs on how to create that ultimate six-figure entrepreneurial lifestyle free of bad money stories, money anxiety, and stress so that you can monetize your dreams and execute your genius. Now, if you haven't already downloaded our free ebook From Money Anxiety to Six-Figure Mastery, make sure you go to go.thesixfigureacademy.com and get it there. It's the perfect complement to all the things we discuss on the show, and quite frankly, it could change your life. Now, if you're joining us live today and you're not on YouTube Live, make sure you get on Spreaker.com or download the Spreaker app on your mobile device. And if you are following our guest today, you can actually jump on Instagram Live and follow us there. I'm waving down here to the and search for the hashtag the Money Lab over on the Spreaker app so that you can join us in the chat room, ask questions, and interact with us. Now, while you're there, subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. You can catch us every week. For all of the ways to find us, go to the sixfigureacademy.com/radio for all the details. And if there's something you love about what you hear on this episode today and you know could help someone you care about, remember, sharing is caring. Share the show to that person. Now, today's episode is being sponsored by the Energy Mind Body, again, transformational experience events, which run live, no-pitch, full-day events where the goal is to have that one shift, one transformational experience to help you optimize your energy, mind, and body. Go to www.embte.com for more details on the upcoming events, and I believe there is one coming up October 27th here in the South Bay area. Now, I'm really excited about our show today because we are finally going to dive deep into the world of Uber and Lyft with our guest today because, with all the different Uber drivers I've had, I actually tried to ask a few Uber drivers to come on my show and to talk about their strategies because they do it full time and they're kind of cagey about it. But finally, Edward and I go back a little bit and I find out that he's an Uber driver and he says, yeah, I'll share about everything that I do to create success because he's all about sharing and paying it forward and a few things like that. So a few things I want you guys to listen for if you're listening to us, just kind of pay attention to how a full-time Uber and Lyft driver make it work if you ever are curious about that, or if you are an Uber Lyft driver, you want to pay attention here. Manifesting what you want to do in life without being attached to how you started your career, and the power of hustling without giving up. Now, let me talk a little bit about this guy that's on my show. He's sitting right next to me right now. Basically, he's a former chef and a comedian. Now, he has a show actually called Fast Ed Radio, and he's the personality and the creator of the show. He talks about self-help. He gives advice to people on the show live as well, and who's going through everyday life situation because he has gone through his own fair share of life situation. No doubt. And he also interviews guests on the show and talks about the topic. Now, how I met this guy was at one of my favorite sushi spots. This is right around the corner, just down the street that way, actually. And he was one of the chefs, the sushi chefs behind the counter. Yeah. And then I think that was when my favorite place, Flying Fin, just opened up, maybe like 4 years ago or something like that. Yeah, and then he was there. He was the he was Fast Ed back then too. Just getting things done and serving up sushi. So, but anyway, so glad to finally be able to catch up because you left town and you came back, and then I started talking about different things and we reconnected on Facebook, and now here you are. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here, and glad you brought me on the show too. Much appreciated, man.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk a little bit about how you and I interacted, and let's talk about the journey around that real quick, because you and I met at the, I was the customer, you were the chef, and then we just started talking about all the different things that you did. Back then, you were also doing comedy on the side.
Yes, I was.
Right? And then where were you performing during those times?
Actually, my first performance was that it was a place called Flappers in Burbank, California. Shout out to Flappers in Burbank, California. And I was there, and it was like an open mic night. It was like maybe like 11 at night and stuff. And all my friends would try to egg me on, saying that, "Oh, you should do comedy. You're funny." I was like, man, shut up. I'm not funny. I'm just off of my own world.
You're
do
just
my thing.
real in your own world.
Yeah, exactly. But then I was like, something in my stomach told me just go up there and do it, because you only live life once. It's YOLO. Everybody, all the younger generation, millennial generation says YOLO. You only live life once.
You only
blah
live
blah
once,
blah.
right?
Yeah. So I went up stage and I did a couple of spills. I adapted from my Living Color and a little bit of my own twist and flair and whatnot. And then all of a sudden I praised all the customers who were there, even my friends. When I walked out of the stage, the owner of the place, the Flappers, he grabbed my hand and said, "Hey, can I talk to you for a second?" I was like, "Whoa, I paid my bill. I mean, you don't have to hassle me or whatever." But I said, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, why don't you perform like every weekend doing like comedy and stuff? I was like, nah, I don't know about that. It kind of like egged me on too, like how my friends was earlier that night. I was like, you know what the heck? Might as well. You only live life once. So he gave me a contract, I signed it, and ever since I was performing the next 6 months on like every Saturday and every Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, on Flappers and stuff. Cause that's when my comedy juices start flowing, and I started doing like other shows.
So it was
too.
a paid contract. They paid you to be there.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of. Couple $100, but it's better than nothing.
Right. Well, I mean, if you sign a contract, you probably
Exactly.
So let's talk about your journey again. And for those of you who are listening and you hear this low rumbling that's going on right now, this is a reason why we're opening up a whole separate studio just for the Money Lab and all the other podcasts I'm doing, is because across the street they're jackhammering the sidewalk, and for some reason it's traveling right up in the building, up to the microphone. So in case you happen to hear that rumbling, wondering what is that, no, it's not our stomachs. No, we're not hungry. It's all about what is going on out there. They're doing some kind of construction for a restaurant, so we're gonna go over there and eat later. No, anyway. So just in case you guys are wondering what does that sound? Okay, it's not because we have crappy equipment. It's because of what's going on outside. But anyway, let's talk about your journey and how you got here. Because here's the thing: is that you probably you came from really humble beginnings.
Yes, I did.
Right,
yes.
And so this story, the Money Lab, is really talking about how people develop their relationship with money, the money story that they grew up with. So let's talk about your childhood. I mean, what did you grow up around in terms of money, the money story?
Like I was telling him, before we started the show, like my dad, he came from Korea, South Korea, to the United States. It was a year before I was born, and he had a lot of money saved up. I'm not gonna say this figure, but he was like, back then in the 80s, you're living like a boss basically.
Right.
So he had boss money when he came to the United States, but then he met my mom, and after he defected to the United States. And
so he defected.
Yeah.
So. Where was it, South or North? Where did he come from?
Oh, South Korea.
It's still defecting back then?
Kind of. So it's like, back then in South Korea, it's kind of hard to come to the United States.
Oh, not like today.
Not like not like today.
After Samsung took over Korea.
Yeah,
that's pretty much.
Samsung, LG, Kia, and all them places and businesses.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he came to the United States, met my mom, and then got married and had me and my brother. But then, my dad, he was going to school and take care of me, my younger brother. Shout out to my brother Joe Kim, and my mom too, because my mom was raising me and my brother. But then, soon enough, my dad and mom marriage was starting to deteriorate while he was trying to hold the fort together and going to school, become a electrical engineer and stuff like that.
Because he met her here.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And take care of me and my brother and support me and my brother and my mom's too. But then after she had me and my brother, her mental situation was getting worse to the point that years later, after the marriage ended and stuff, my dad had to take care of my mom, because she had to go to a psych situation and fix her mental situation and stuff like that. And back then too, my grandparents on my mom's side had to take care of my mom also. So it's like a joint effort to take care of my mom.
Right.
And because of that too, you know, the hospital bills and the payments is so expensive. Even back in the 80s and now, like a hospital bill is no joke. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars. Even a small minor cut, you're paying like $6,000-$7,000 without
Right.
insurance. Back then, there was no health benefits back then because even there was, it's only for some companies. Luckily, my dad had health benefits too because he worked for a government job too.
Oh, okay, cool.
But even then, so it's expensive too. But anyways, the whole time my dad was taking care of my mom and my grandparents too. My grandparents ended up running out of money, so it was all my dad. He had to
So he
shove
was
the whole
not
thing.
only taking care of your mom, but he was also taking care of your grandparents because they
Yep.
ran out of money. So he was basically taking care of
Woo!
everybody,
Oh,
including
yeah,
you
buddy.
and your brother. And
Oh yeah, buddy.
okay,
Yeah, and because of that too, and my dad, he finally finished college and stuff. He got a great job and stuff like that. But even then, so even if he had a great job, he still had to support not only me, my brother, my mom in the hospital, and my grandparents too, what have you, and sending money to the parents back home.
back in Korea, right?
Exactly. you
So
know?
okay, so on top of that, taking care of his own parents and his own direct family back in Korea.
Yeah, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
and so what happened eventually? I mean,
Eventually, like we had a house and stuff, but my dad couldn't afford the payments of the mortgage. Even though we lived in Georgia, and typically Georgia's like one of the most affordable states in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Even then, so he had a hard time pulling, take care of the payments, raising everybody, and take care of
Right.
everybody else too. Basically, he was like he had a bunch of money, but he had to branch out to like give it to like 10 different people or 12 different people. It was hard to save money, let alone survive off your means. And we lived in a one-income family too. On top of that, you
Right,
know?
right, right.
Even though my dad was making six figures, but that six figure looked like he was making like almost past minimum wage because all the payments had to pay for my
Right,
family
right.
and take care of all that stuff too.
Right.
Got to the point that we ended up like selling the house. We went to a big house, a 4-bedroom house, a good land or whatever, to a small itty bitty small apartment in Evans, Georgia. And because of that, I ended up going to like 3 different schools in the next 3 years and stuff. Because of that, I was building friendships, but then I was like, oh, by the way, you gotta move. I was like, what the heck? I'm starting playing roots and seeds with my friends and stuff.
Right.
Now we gotta uplift and we gotta live again.
right.
And little did I knew back then, that was kind of like my beginning introduction of depression and dealing with people
Right.
and how to handle myself and my family. It got point where I had my parents' divorce, money situation, me moving around. I had no stability, and unfortunately, that basically like trickled down to my early to mid adulthood too, and that would trickle down to my financial situation from my early as a kid to my middle part of my adulthood and stuff.
Yeah.
like that.
So going through that, how did that impact your financial situation as an adult? I mean, what stories were running, belief systems were running when it came to money?
Back then, my parents told me that you need to save money no matter what because one day you're gonna run into these situations. But then I was trying to ask my parents for explanations. Even my dad didn't have the answers. Then if my parents didn't have the answers, I was trying to go elsewhere. Even they didn't know. So basically, I was running around with my head cut off and stuff. It's like I'm trying to get some advice. And as a kid, you want to know because you're very curious people as children. I went through it, everybody went through it too. And it's like, how are you gonna learn about things that people don't know? That who you run into, they don't even know the answers themselves. So
Right.
I had to learn everything the hard way,
So-
which is I don't know how to save.
Yeah. So what happened? How did you end up coming to California then with all that? I mean, what were you pursuing? I mean, what your money flow was probably erratic
Oh, it was at best.
at best.
I was blessed if I had $100 in my pocket after bills and what have you.
And what do you think that is? And what was the belief system that was keeping money from coming in at that time?
I think it's because for me, like those all kids too. If you have lots of money and stuff, you're tempted to buy stuff like new toys, new video games, taking hot women out to dates, buying cars and stuff like materialistic stuff,
Yeah.
And because of that, it's like for me, it's like back then video games was hot. Like I want Jordans, I want like a nice pair of clothes and stuff. Like every time I had money saved up, when my grandparents, my dad's like gave me money, red envelope, and stuff like
Right.
that, and I spending all my money. Got to the point my dad, he basically had to like sideswipe the transaction. He ended up being the middleman to help me save money by force. My grandma and my parents or people who gave me money, what have you, had to give it the interceptor from my dad. But little did I knew, my dad later on, he told me that I had to use the money that people gave you as gifts to pay for the bills and stuff. Back then, I resented so much from my dad because I was like, I could use that for my college fund stuff, but then little that I knew back then, my dad was struggling his own means too, trying to support everybody and stuff like that too.
So maybe that money story that was running, that the reason why you were so quick to spend it on yourself was because you grew up seeing your dad spend it on everybody but himself.
Exactly. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and looking back on a retrospect, as you know, now as a grown man, I sometimes I come to tears and in my heart that my dad was trying to bust his butt and try to make ends meet, take care of everybody around him, including me and my brother. And I so unfortunately took advantage of that situation and avenged my dad about that too. And that led to me like stealing things and being kleptomatic, not only just for my family but people around me. And I even hurt my loved ones, like stealing from money from them, stealing things from them too, because it's like, when you're a kid and stuff, once you don't have what you want and you don't have the money to pay for it, the next best thing to do would be a kleptomatic and steal things from people, unfortunately.
Right.
It leads you to trouble and a dark, bad, destructive path, you know?
And so what turned all that around? I mean, at some point you turned it around and realized, you know, it's time for me to kind of pave my own path and just do my own thing.
I think it's probably, I remember this in particular, I went to a video game store. I'm not going to name the place and stuff, but I had a stepmom at the time. I remember it was back in like maybe in the mid-90s, by 95, 96, and Super Nintendo's still hot. I know you and I had a Super Nintendo. Everybody listening had a Super Nintendo too, what have you.
I think I still have one somewhere.
I sold that bad boy for a PlayStation. But anyways, the game I wanted to get so bad was named Chrono Trigger. It's like the first of its kind role-playing game, whatever. It's hot. Even though I beat the game a billion times, but I love the game and stuff. But I love it so much that I had a plan. It was 80 degrees outside. I wore a jacket, so I'm already suspicious as it is. So I went in there. I knew where it was. I picked up the game. I hid it basically I tucked it in between my pants and stuff like that. When I went to the register, I didn't know it was like a security thing too. So they ding me, bing, bing, bing. And because of that, the clerk called the police. And when the cops came, I got locked up, detained in the cop car too. I remember my stepmom at the time, she was pleading, said, "Oh, you know, don't take my stepson to jail. He didn't know better, blah blah blah." And I was
this is your dad got remarried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much. You sort of would, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, my stepmom at the time, she's pleading to the cops, just crying, said, "Don't take my son to jail, blah blah blah." I said, "Ma'am, he broke the law. Like, you know, I got treated as I got treated as a criminal, blah, blah, he stole, blah, blah, blah." But then all of a sudden I was replaying what happened and stuff from the past 12, 13 years, from the day I was out of my mom's womb to what happened to that exact moment. And I was like, you know what, man, at the rate I'm going, either two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to go to jail and probably going to die from my bad situations, or two, I got to make a better man out of myself too. And on top of that, I started building a big old block of a chip on my shoulders. Like, you know, I'm gonna prove to these people that even though I'm doing bad things right now, I could change. I become a better person, more better than these people who doubted me and stuff like that too. Of course, I chose the latter too. So, coincidentally, the cop let me out of the cop car, took me, got me out of hand because his son, he got a blessing from God or what have you. His speech, it's like, you know what, honestly, if you stole food from the grocery store, I understand that. I'll probably let you go a lot quicker. But video games, that's kind of a different story. But you're a juvenile, you had no record, and you're a good kid. I'll let you go, but remember the situation. I was like, "Yes, sir, officer," blah, blah, blah. I complied and stuff like that. When I got in the car, my stepmom, she beat the crap out of me, cussing me out in two languages, Korean and English and stuff. It's like, son, basically, you got to learn from this and go, overcome the situation. So that's one thing, too. But then my kleptomatic situation didn't end, unfortunately, and it went to the second time, saying that I stole like a Pez dispenser from my friend, and because of that, I got really reprimanded. By then I was grounded for like a 1 year straight. When I got grounded 1 year straight, that's when I looked at the encyclopedia. I had to write everything word for word 3 times each and stuff like that.
That's so Asian.
Yeah, I know.
Your parents
exactly. But I went from.
It's like your punishment is to transcribe the encyclopedia.
Exactly.
I'm surprised because you're Korean. They didn't make you transcribe the Bible, too.
Oh my God. I'm so glad. But I remember when I got to X, and the word I went to is called xylophone. And then, but the 3 words that stand out in the encyclopedia is money, financial. It was like finance or something. It was like a long word. And the third one was perseverance. those three words stood out to me. And those three words, to this day, as you're speaking right now on your show, I still think about those three words.
Nice.
And those three words alone got me overcome my financial situation from my parents, where they went through when I lived through vicariously through my dad, until when I went through later on as an adult till now. Those three words: perseverance, the financial thing, and freaking the last word. The last word, perseverance. You know.
Perseverance.
Yeah.
Perseverance, money, and the financial word.
Yep.
So from there, that's when you turned your life around.
Pretty much, yes. Maybe 60%.
About 60%.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what brought you onto the path of becoming a chef?
Okay, well, my number one reason why I became a chef is I wanted to travel, because I was in Georgia my whole entire life, and my main I would say was going to California, going to live in that LA lifestyle, because I watched shows like LA Law back in the 80s, Hunter,
right.
when he moved to LA and stuff, and the Lakers, the Showtime era, Magic Johnson, and Kirk Gibson hitting that home run in the World Series back in '88. All that stuff too made me so fascinated with LA. And for me to get out of Georgia, it's like I gotta find a career path and a passion enough to get out of Georgia, go out to travel other things too, predominantly the West Coast, was cooking.
Right.
And also I love the art and skill, but I really didn't get the cooking until probably when I was going to college, learning business and stuff.
And where did you go to college?
I went in Georgia. All my school was in Georgia, so I went to junior college called Georgia Perimeter College. Shout out to Georgia Perimeter College. I was studying to do business management, but unfortunately I didn't finish because I worked at a restaurant called Icon in Atlanta, and the head chef at the time, his name is Ken Mann. And I looked him up as look into it like a mentor, and he was the head sushi chef at the time. And the whole time we were talking, we had downtime. I was like, man, I want to further my skills of cooking. What do I need to do? And the other guy, his name is Steven, he talking about cooking and stuff like that too. And I mentioned the word like cooking school, like Le Cordon Bleu or Art Institute of Atlanta. I was like, you know what? All right, you know what? I'm gonna look into it. So weeks went on, another month went on. We had a little break, and I was like, you know what? I applied to go to Le Cordon Bleu Culinary School. Thanks for an inspiration, motivation. It's like, you know what? If my mentor is going to culinary school, why not me? I want to follow his footsteps. And because of that, I started learning more and more passion about cooking and doing sushi. Sushi was basically the biggest turn on for me to do cooking, because I like the art, skill, passion, the ingredients, and it's fresh and a lot of color and flavor.
Right. And so so you went to the Cordon?
Yes, I have, and I graduated. Yes.
Okay, cool. So you graduated from there.
Yes.
So the difference was you were passionate about that particular school versus
Exactly.
the other one, and that actually took you through, and you graduated.
Yes.
What eventually brought you to California?
After my internship, I was at Harris Cherokee Casino in Cherokee, North Carolina. It was in the boondock area, nothing but woods, people shooting like coon and all that stuff too, or raccoons or whatever. I was like, I don't want to be in a country area again. I want civilization. I want a big city. I want chaos.
Right.
And the whole time, implementing my head in my brain, it's like, you know what, Eric, you need to take your butt back to LA, or you need to go to Los Angeles. I was like, all right.
Have you ever been to LA at that point?
I've been probably one other time. It was when my whole family, we went to Korea. It was back in '94. That's the last time we went to Korea. We landed we connected a flight to LAX. And my uncle, he lived in Koreatown. When we landed, got my uncle's car. We were driving past LAX off of Century. It was back in '94. This is when it was still grimy. I told my brother, hey, Joe, something about LA is appealing to me. I'm going to move here as a man. My brother's like, shut up. You're just 11 years old. You're a kid. Yeah, right. But I still remember that childhood kid promise I made when I was 11 years old. And 14 years later, when I was like 25, 26, I was like, you know what? I'm a grown man. I got a degree. My dad told me, as long as you have a degree, you can do whatever you want. Meaning, and I was like, so I can move, right? I was like, yeah. I was like, all right. So I added three things together. I was like, all right. I graduated school. I got my career path, my passion, and I know where I want to go to.
Right.
Is LA. So I moved there in 2008.
Okay, in 2008, and then you started pursuing your career, your first career in culinary.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. And so where were the different places? I mean, you went right into sushi, or?
Yes, sushi and catering, yes.
Sushi and catering? Okay, cool. And then, so by the time you got to the restaurant here, Flying Fin in the Village, it was 2000, that's 4 years ago, like 2014. So you had already gone through 10 years of
Yep.
just being a chef.
Exactly. Yes.
Cool. So it was like a full-blown career move.
Oh
right?
yeah, man. Like I dedicate like blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of my time in relationships, what have you, just for cooking and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And how was your career? I mean, was it successful? Did you build your financial nest egg, if you will, during that period of time?
Let me put this in like sports terms. All right, let's say my career is more like a Tony Romo, for example. He won games in the playoffs, but he haven't won a big championship. Meaning that I would never been like a head chef in my own establishment. But my money was like Jamarcus Russell. First round talented bust, blew all his money on stupid dumb things. So I was kind of a little bit.
Oh, you're still spending your money on stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
and on top of that, like I had to push back my loans and stuff because of that and start being like, like I ran out of my forbearance, and because of that I ended up being defaulted my loans because I had no money to pay for it.
Right.
And granted, too, later on, probably like 6-7 years ago, we had 250,000 signatures file a petition against Le Cordon Bleu because they promised us having great like money figure, like financial situation after we got a culinary school. Because of that, they broke their promise, so to speak. Because of that, they unfortunately the school folded all across the United States, but the degree is still good through Paris, France. Because of that, my private loans went away, poof, because we won our lawsuit and stuff like that too. So that's what helped me a little bit.
Okay,
in the
cool.
situation.
So you were doing the chef thing for a while, and then you got into the comedy thing.
Yep.
And then that's basically where we left off in terms of the last time I saw you, and then we connected online and stuff like that, but then you disappeared, and then you went over to, I think your last stint was over at Google.
Yes.
So you actually went to Google and you did your last chef stint over there.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then what happened at that point? You like,
well,
I'm kind of done with this, or?
Yeah, because like I was kind of done to begin with before I went to work for Google, but then I got a point now. It's like, all right, I was kind of reflecting. I was drinking with my buddy one day in Oakland stuff, and then we were talking about careers. And when we were talking about careers, I basically had like an out-of-body experience, and I was thinking to myself, you know what? The last 3 jobs I had were all corporate, and one thing they all had in common, they had a really strict boss. Is like their way or the highway. Highway meaning kick the curb, go find another job. And I just got so sick and tired, stressed out that I'm doing all the hard work, but the head chef and the sous chef too got all the credit. Like putting my hours, my time, my energy, my heart and soul, mind, body, soul, everything to the art of cooking. But then when I just got fed up by people deserving all the credit, I didn't get no credit, even though I'm the one who actually did the work. And on top of the pay didn't justify my work, my creativity and stuff. A little bit of those two kind of was the beginning and end. But then when I went to Google, I was there for 2 years. Even though I had 2 great solid years of Google, benefits, made a lot of great people and stuff, it's like I just had to do something else. It's like someone told me, you got to eliminate what makes you depressed, angry, and sad. And you got to eliminate the situation and find something what makes you want to be happy, which was back then was comedy back then. But it's like I want to do something else. And later on did my own podcast called Fast at Radio because for me, even though when I was at work, I talked so much and stuff. And I ended up people tell me you need to shut up, run your mouth or whatever. I was like, I want to do something to add those things to comedy, talking and stuff. And lo and behold, I did my own radio show, my podcast and stuff. And because of that, it's like what I had to eliminate something negative was cooking. Even though I had 15 great solid years of cooking, I'm a big time veteran.
So how did it become a negative thing? I mean, because the audience is always kind of wondering, like, they pick a lot of people pick their path and their choice and everything like that. Then at what point did they realize, oh, maybe this wasn't the path that I wanted? I thought I wanted it. Is it because of the restrictive nature of how everybody was, or was it just kind of like not finding the right home for you to kind of do the chef thing?
Probably a little bit of both, but probably the first one. It's like restriction of being creativity and having like right amount of respect and praise that I earned with doing the career per se. Because for me, it's like you probably went through this before in your life too, life cycle of life and what have you. It's like you do all the work, but then the higher ups get all the credit. In the beginning, it's like all right, it's cool because I'm new. You know, it is what it is and stuff. But once you've done it for a long time, you're starting to get sick and tired. It's like, I want to be recognized for what I've done, but I don't want to make everybody else look good because of what I've done. You know. Because of that, maybe starting to resent the restaurant industry in general. And I've done it for a long time. It's like, you know, I had a good career. I want to do something else.
Right.
You know.
Okay, cool. So, and at the same time, you had to also take care of your financial circumstance.
Exactly.
Because if you jump right into just doing nothing but the radio show,
Yeah.
how's that paying the bills, right? So,
Exactly.
which transitions into what we're going to be talking about here.
Yes,
really,
sir.
it's like, what did you do then? What did you do with instead to what are you doing now then to allow yourself the freedom to do your radio show and everything, but also to make sure your financial circumstances handled?
Simple. I would say one word, but I'm gonna say two. Uber and Lyft. Ride sharing program.
Now, you know, and that's an interesting thing. I found that most of the full-time Uber drivers are also Lyft drivers.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting that they have drivers that, you know, the companies are competing with each other, and at the same time they have drivers that drive for both.
Exactly.
Okay, tell me a little bit of why that is. You know, why do you think Uber and Lyft, they don't do anything about that?
Well, first of all, like, reason why I included myself as of recently do both apps because number one, you probably heard this before, like an old phrase, time is money. And we actually took it to heart because if you only do one app, let's say Uber, and you like drive for like 8 hours, but half the time it slows, and you only get like a couple rides in like 4 hours. That's pretty pathetic, you know. Excuse my French, but then at the same time is money. But then if you work 8 hours, you only get like maybe like $30. You barely made like under minimum wage. That means you waste your time. Whereas you do Uber and Lyft both in the same time. If you pick, let's say you have a Lyft request. You'd show off the Uber app. You'd stick out Lyft and Uber, and you can go back and forth, meaning that in 8 hours, instead of just doing one app, you do both apps. You can make like almost 3 to 4 times more money doing both apps at the same time in the same 8-hour span you do instead of just doing one app in 8 hours.
So like, it's maximizing. So a lot of people think that if you do one. Okay, it's for those that don't know what Uber and Lyft are. It's that app that you use that you could just you could punch in where you want to go, and then a car, someone like, you know, Fast Ed here, will come and pick you up and take you to where you want to go. It's like ride sharing app, you know.
Yes,
if you're not sure still what we're talking about, go on Google Uber, Google Lyft, Lyft. Lyft actually got bought out by General Motors or something like that, right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, General Motors bought them out. Okay, good. So a lot of people, I thought, you know, if you sign on the app, as long as you stay signed on, it's almost like back-to-back work.
Exactly.
But
yes.
It's not the case, right? That's why you have both Uber and Lyft.
Yes, because there's some days gonna be busy. So like, you know, Mondays and Fridays. Like Mondays is the beginning of work week. Everybody need to go somewhere, it's work, school, what have you. So it's always busy. But then usually drivers take Tuesdays and Wednesdays off. For me, I work Monday through Friday because here's the thing. If you have less drivers on the road, you're going to have more work because there's less drivers on the road. That's the reason why Tuesdays and Wednesdays for me are a lot busier than Monday, because Monday, everybody, even their mama's still driving out there because they know Monday is the busy day of the week, even Friday too. That's why, like, if you do both apps like I do a Monday through Friday. Because of that, I'd see another $1,000 increase per month just doing both apps. And also supply and demand. That's another business one-on-one situation too. You know, because if you have less drivers on the road, but you more people when you get to places, let's say I'll have Tuesday and Wednesday, people like me who work Tuesday and Wednesdays, I end up per day going to make like an extra $100 to $200 more because there's a lot of less drivers on the road because they need supply and demand. I got that supply, which they demand and they need it and stuff like that.
So you make full-time income doing
Yes,
Uber
I have.
and Lyft.
Yes,
okay.
I do. Yes.
Yeah, okay. You have or you do?
Both. Have and do, yes.
Yeah, have and do. And so what does that mean? Living in LA, I mean, it's not cheap to live out here in LA. Where in LA do you live right now?
I live in Koreatown. I live in
K-Town.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Mid-Wilshire area and stuff like that. So it's not cheap to live pretty much anywhere in LA for the most part.
Or California in general.
California in general. So being able to live full-time, live financially full-time off of Uber and Lyft must say a lot about how one can, I mean, because not everybody makes a full-time living doing Uber, even if they want to. what would you say are some of the strategy? What separates people who actually really do well in Uber and Lyft versus people who don't? And again, like you say, a lot of your references like Business 101 and stuff like that. And well, let's talk about how that happens first, and then why the differences.
Okay, for me, it's like all the financial stress I was living through growing up and stuff. And for me, it's like my number one thing out of this, if anything else, is that I don't want to be in my financial like crap I've been living with my entire life. I need to make a change. And for you to become a better successful person, you gotta make a change. And my change is I don't want to be in a financial burden the rest of my life, because I know eventually I'm gonna have a family of my own, and I don't want to live what my dad went through before. So I want to end that situation with his situation. But for me, it's like I want to be in a better financial situation. And after what happened in 2008, the financial meltdown, what have you, housing market everything crashed and stuff, and I lost my job back then too. It's like I know how desperation, depression, and not having financial stability or backing in your life, I know how it tastes and feels. I don't want to be in that situation again. That's why I always have philosophy. I can always go back to job. I don't want a boss. I want to make great money. I got to work hard.
Right. So how is this now changing a financial circumstance? I mean, are you what we call doing Uber and Lyft? Are you starting to financially thrive now as a result of doing that?
Oh, definitely. Like I'm not there 100% yet, but I'm a lot better than I was before I started doing Uber and Lyft. And because of that, it's like I got my own place now. I live by myself. I'm paying all my bills on time. I'm start saving a little bit of money, and now I'm getting into like investing, like cryptocurrency, life insurance, and stuff like that. But to answer your question, at the end of the day, yes. And also, I got me a new car too.
Oh, nice.
And because of that, my credit's starting to build up more, because I started knocking out my debts, because I have money now to pay off my debts.
Right. I know you're looking at your Instagram thing, but we also have our YouTube channel out there, right? Okay. So that's where the show is right there. Okay. So really important is like to understand is this, that now what are you doing different with your money? Because you recognize the patterns that were going on before. You make money. Probably were making really good money back in the day as a chef, and you just spent it all. Right now, are you seeing the same pattern appear, or have you changed and shifted that?
Oh, I definitely changed. It's like about 180 degrees, because now I'm older now. It's like I'm looking for like future goals, like having a family, having stability. I was looking for a house and condo and stuff like that, and knocking out my debts. But yes, I am, because like back then when we were younger, we all like going out, spending on ridiculous amount of money on out drinks and going out and clothes and stuff. But now my mentality and mindset is different. Now it's like I'd rather stay at home because I save money, and I'd rather work on my extra spare time.
Right. And so was it did that shift happen after Google, during Google, to where you just decided, I got to be smarter with my money. I got to do something different I got to break that pattern that I've been running?
Probably during Google. Because one day I was making sushi for this one Googler, and he, I asked him, so how much do you make like per year and stuff? Well, entry level position makes $160,000 a year. I almost had a heart attack. Oh my God, no wonder everybody want to get in this position. But at the same time, it's like everybody I serve, these Googlers, they all have great financial situations. None of them are in debt, and if they are, probably a little bit in debt, and they're all happy financially. And I see them driving nice cars, having nice things like Apple Watches and stuff. But then the only difference is that, like I was saying earlier in the show, back then I would blow all my money for these right things. But then I've been seeing these people, like they're talking about investing like cryptocurrency investments and stuff, and they spending stuff too. I was like, you know what? I want that lifestyle. But in order to get that lifestyle, I got to start saving money, spend my money wisely, and be more smarter of my money and great money management.
And what did you do to make sure that you didn't fall back into the old patterns of spending money in places that you shouldn't be spending, or overspending? I think the big distinction is that these kids over at Google, what you call Googlers, what happens is they are spending money, but they're not spending beyond what they are bringing in, right? Whereas before, when you were younger, you were probably spending beyond what you were bringing in, or spending what you were bringing in. It's like one-on-one, right?
True, exchange. But like we hear in the news all the time, CNN on what have you. We're in like $1 trillion of debt to begin with, and we live in a society now that we spend more than we save anyway. So I think to me in general, we kind of live in that situation, unfortunately.
But that's the economy and that's the government. But it doesn't mean that we as individuals need to buy into that.
True. No, I'm not saying everybody, but most people we talk to, you know.
But these people that you're talking about at Google, right? They're probably not buying into that, and they're the ones that are. I mean, they're young too, and who knows what their financial situation is. But what we recognize with yours, because of what you so generously shared, was that, at one point you were doing like a one-to-one exchange, or maybe even spending more than you were bringing in.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and thinking like, oh, well, and that's a common thing, is that people who have, with the credit cards and everything, it's like, oh, I'll get my check next week, and that'll cover for what I overspend tonight, or tomorrow, or this weekend, or whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So what did you do to break that pattern? Did you go into books? Did you talk to more people, or what is it that you did to make sure to safeguard yourself against, sabotaging your own next step in your journey?
Probably the biggest thing of all was when I was doing Uber and Lyft, and when I was living in Bay Area too. I picked up a lot of people who worked in the financial district and stuff. They're like hedge fund managers, stock markets and stuff. And I always picked their brain. I'm like, sir, ma'am, if I have a time with your words. So yeah. So how do you grow with your money, and how do you flourish, and how do you get out of debt and stuff? They break things down. Like, for example, you gotta save your money, and number 2, spend within your means, and number 3 is like buy what you really need, your necessity of life, your pay your bills, like rent, your car payment, your insurance and stuff. If you can afford what you want, then you can afford it. If not, if you even have slight hesitation, then you don't have money to afford it. That right there, clear cut, stuck out to me more than anything else.
And that's funny, because those are like the fundamental basics that all of us have been exposed to at some point. You make money, save money, don't spend beyond your means, make sure your overhead is taken care of. And for some reason, people still don't do that. I mean, this is something that, they teach us growing up. Was it something that you just, do you think that you blocked out from, because your parents told you the same thing, save money, right?
Yep.
And pay for what you need to pay for. Was there something emotional that kept you from adhering or acknowledging that stuff that was taught to us as children?
Definitely one word: stubbornness. I'm being real with
stubborn is like rebelling against the authority figure.
Exactly.
That basically the resentment that you had for your dad and all those different things.
Exactly.
Did it help for you to let that go?
Yes, and once I finally let it go, and the financial part of it helped it too. When I let it go, I started letting go all the hate, anger, and the pain I went through, not only just financial situation, but the whole spectrum of my life. And because of that, not only I opened up with myself, I opened up financially too. And I finally told myself I need to learn and grow from this, not just for myself per se, but my financial situation. So my financial situation, my personal life situation was basically happened at the same time too. Right.
So Because I Count just made a comment, says successful people always tend to live beneath their means. And so that's something that's what you picked up, and it's so smart of you to actually, while you're driving in that financial district over in San Francisco, and maybe wherever you went, and you got a chance to kind of pick the brains of people that you saw were a demonstration of where you wanted to go, or at least wanted to understand and how to do it. Most people don't even bother asking; they don't want to bother them and everything like that. But do you think that was kind of like a crucial behavior that you had to say, I'm just gonna ask these people?
No question, because even my mentor got me into Lyft. And by the way, shout out to him, James. I'm gonna send you a edible arrangement fruit basket. One heck of a mentor. But anyways, he told me this. It's like, if you want to high ratings and maintain high ratings and start getting tips and enjoying this program of Lyft and stuff, you gotta start talking to people.
Right.
And he's like, before you say anything else, I know you're a people person, and I know you do well. Because that gave me so much, not just courage, like so much positive energy, to the point that, you know what, I'm gonna take his opinion, I'm gonna apply it to my own knowledge. And because that's like, and that's the old saying goes, you're gonna miss all the shots if you don't take the shots. And on top of that, how are you gonna learn if you don't ask?
Right. And I think there's something really big to be said about that, because a lot of people say, well, wait, I can't afford you, I can't afford any of your services, I can't afford any of your products, and which is fine. And then yet they don't realize that if all they did was ask questions, get into conversations with people, go out and meet people that represent where they want to go or what they want to do, and just ask, because you just asked and they said sure.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got a captive audience. What are they going to jump out of the car? It's like,
I know, right? They just pay for the service, so they have to use the service, right?
So you might as well ask them. But then, of course,
Exactly.
they could have said, no, actually, I'm a little busy right now or something like that. But they were willing to oblige. And that's the thing, is that I don't think enough people realize that, part of that journey to success is the willingness to be humble, the willingness to ask, the willing to recognize that, okay, I've got a problem that needs to be solved. So why don't I ask somebody instead of trying to just kind of stubbornly hammer it out on my own, figure it out on my own, and bang my head against a wall.
Exactly.
Right? Now, a lot of people that may have gone through what you went through and just kind of like dealing with the ups and downs, and may simply just give up and just say, well, you know what? I'm just going to get a real simple job and not care about whether or not I like it because it pays the bills or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
What was it that kept you? Because then you said you also were dealing with some depression and dealing with some of the emotional, psychological challenges, and maybe something that you picked up just watching your mom or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
How did you persevere? I mean, I know the perseverance was a word that you picked up from transcribing the encyclopedia.
Yeah.
But how did you, what would you say to people who are on that fence and just not knowing what to do, and they're like stuck between a rock and a hard place? And it's not just people who don't make money. There are multimillionaires who are at a point, they wake up one day and says, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know this is something that I want to do. I make $1 million a year. I spend 1.5. Those types of things. That's not as uncommon as one would think. What would you say to people who are struggling with that, and how you made it through?
Like, to all the listeners out there, even myself too, to this day, you gotta be honest with yourself. You gotta have a heart-to-heart talk with yourself, and you gotta ask yourself the simple question: what do I want out of this for my life? What makes me happy? Like, what will complete my lifestyle, and what will complete my life in general, and makes me become happy? You ask these questions to yourself. Until you find the answer, you guys do your own research, and you gotta find ways to make you happy. Because if you don't be honest with yourself and ask these simple questions, even though they might be simple, more yet alone be complex, then you're never gonna be happiness. You're never gonna find your answers, and you're not gonna find what you're seeking for and stuff like that. So you gotta answer yourself these questions and be honest with yourself. Because at the end of the day, if you're not gonna be happy, you've never been honest with yourself to begin with.
Ooh, that's a good one. If you've never been happy, if you're not happy, then that means you've never been honest with yourself to begin with. Exactly. And at the end of the day, very few things in this world trumps happiness.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, people say, well, money does. No, money doesn't, right? And you've been around high affluence. Have you seen any people in Google? Have you seen any people that you picked up that they obviously make money?
Oh yeah.
But they don't seem happy.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Even in Google? Google's such a great place to work.
Google, like, some guy picked up in San Francisco. He owned the freaking hospital.
Right.
Hospital. And one guy picked up, he owned, I forgot the name of the owner, but he owned the San Francisco 49ers. That's a multi-billion-dollar franchise, an NFL team.
And he owned the Niners?
Yeah.
Oh, you picked up an owner of Niners?
Yeah.
Who is that, by the way?
Oh my God. Don't kill me, NFL fans.
Aren't you a fan?
Yeah, but I'm not a Niner fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. The owner of that's Jerry Jones. I know that for a fact. Oh, Jed York.
Jed York. So you had Jed York in your car.
Yep.
What is it called? John Edward Jed York.
Yep.
And then what made you think that he wasn't happy?
Because I think stress of becoming successful, and let alone you have a multi-billion-dollar franchise, aka a company. You gotta not only please yourself making a profit of a multi-billion-dollar industry, what have you, but you gotta make everybody around you, aka the fans, your peers, happy too.
But aren't there people who are happy being able to juggle all those different things? It's not just because they have so many responsibilities that they can't be happy. I look at Sir Richard Branson, and he's got like 12, 13, 14, how many companies? I don't know. And across the board, one of his biggest push is, the whole, lifestyle and being happy and enjoying what you do and passion. Same thing with the guy with Zappos, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all about happiness, right?
Yeah.
And he had a whole freaking company that he was doing. And in Vegas, too, he has other things that he's doing and stuff like that, Tony Hsieh. So, was it because he had all those things going on? Or, I mean, how did you know, in that short time that you were driving him, that he wasn't happy? And it's so cool that he Ubers.
Oh yeah, everybody is. But anyways, when he got in my car, for me, I'm all about energy. And for me, when he got in a car, it felt like a kind of a depression / angry type of energy. Maybe because that team didn't perform well the whole season. They had a losing
it's
record.
not. They haven't been performing well.
Yeah.
And that's my team. So it's like it's like okay.
But I think another thing too is probably the pressure from trying to become successful, because they went from a very successful franchise to like not become a successful franchise, like a rebuilding mode. I think with sports in general, it's all about winning. When you win, everybody's happy. But when you lose, that's when all the grumblings and the decommitment of what you love to do is starting to take a float. You know, it's about showing success of what you have. And with sports, immediate success is wins.
So in that moment in time when he picked it up, he didn't seem very happy.
No.
Okay. So I wonder what. We'll never know really.
Probably that, yeah. Probably that in some personal situations. But I just had a really eerie, like a depression /
It was a heavy feeling.
Oh god, it felt like a London fog, man. Sorry, like a London fog. You know, it's like very like overbearing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So all right. So that's the cool thing about everything is that you're now on your way back. And so what do you see? What's next for Fast Ed? I mean, I know you're on your second season of your show.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about what your show is all about.
All right, good. Thank you. So basically my show is about self-help, from relationships, being better with yourself, life management stuff. And for me, it's like, reason why I did the show is like when I was doing Uber and Lyft, people always asked me for advice, from anorexic situations, bulimia situations to
They were asking you?
Me, little old me,
like you suffer from bulimia or anorexia.
Yeah. But then they'd be like, sir, can I ask you this question? I say, yeah, sure, feel free. You know, all right. Well, I'm dealing with anorexia or bulimia, and I have a lot of pressure. So what should I do?
What? Really?
Oh, I am not lying.
Wow.
I am not lying. If I record all the conversation, I'll probably play it right now. Like I went from that to like I helped a guy who almost committed suicide in my car. And I talked him out of it. And he's the one who said, you should have your own show talking about helping people. And from doing Uber and Lyft, it's like, you know what? People need help, need guidance. And it's like, all the stuff I went through, besides bulimia and anorexia, I dealt with almost suicidal thoughts and like depression, stuff like that too. And I was like, oh my God, I'm amazed these people who got in my car dealing with everyday stuff like that too. And it's an epidemic. And I was like, you know what? Let me target the people. And the general audience is 18 to 40. That's the pivotal age, becoming a kid, a boy, a girl, to a man and a woman from 18 to 40. That's like a big old gap of decades and years of trying to become a human being, a great human being or a bad human being. That's a pivotal age. Because I was like, you know what? I want to target those type of people. And I know people out there ask me advice. Why don't I just flip the script and turn to a show? Because all the people who listen to my show are going through stuff that I went through before.
And so basically you're taking your own experiences, not just with yourself, but with the people that, and you're probably getting constant content, just going out all the time, driving Uber and Lyft. Yep. So it's almost as a way to kind of develop and build your podcast, your radio show.
Exactly.
Right? And how do people get into or listen to you on your podcast?
So you could tune on many ways too. Well, now you could download the app called Nai Radio, N-A-I Radio.
Okay.
And you could download on iTunes and Google.
Download the app.
Yep, Nai Radio, N-A-I Radio.
N-A-I Radio.
Yep.
And then what's the name of the show?
It's called Fast Ed Radio.
Fast Ed Radio.
Yep.
And it's all one word, Fast Ed? Or?
Oh, no, they're all three different.
Fast Ed Radio on iTunes. And Spreaker.
And Spreaker, yes.
SoundCloud?
No, not yet.
Okay, cool.
And also, they could tune on my show on Comedian Eddie, all lowercase one word, on Instagram. And I do it on Instagram Live every Wednesdays at 4 p.m.
Okay, so what it's at?
Comedian Eddie.
Comedian Eddie. So are you going to...
Eddie. Yep.
So are you going to go back to comedy at all, or are you just going to do comedy on your show?
Probably a little bit of both. I might go back doing comedy probably the beginning of next year, or probably when my season 2 ends. Because I got the itch to go back, and I got a lot of material under my belt doing Uber and Lyft. And yes, I'm gonna bash some people I picked up with Uber and Lyft, but of course I'm gonna keep name innocent, and I'm basically gonna not mention people's names. I can't remember
Except for Jed York.
I can't remember 7,500 people I picked up total. So
you've had 7,500 rides already.
So technically, as of this morning, I have 5,882 rides with Uber. Lyft, I got 2,755 rides with Lyft.
Holy cow!
And my main goal is, before I retire from the rideshare program with Uber, I'm gonna try and hit 10,000 rides.
10,000 rides.
And all you listeners out there, if you're my 10,000 ride, I'm gonna give you a very expensive gift as an appreciation showing that you're my 10,000 ride. And with Lyft, I'm gonna do 5,000.
How they even plan for that? I mean, I guess if they follow you, you can keep announcing where you are until eventually.
I do on my show. I'm doing it as we speak right now. Yours truly. And yeah, I always mention to my past Uber and Lyft passengers. A lot of people say you're not gonna pick the same person twice. Let me tell you, that's a false, because I picked up 7 regulars. And we live in Los Angeles, second biggest city in the United States. Yeah. I picked up this grandmother 6 times already, past 6 months. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, and it's because of where you are, too, where you're hanging out,
Exactly.
too.
And at the end of the day, you got to show people respect, love, and care, because you never know. You might run into the same people again.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Just like success, man.
So how many to make Uber and Lyft a full-time gig, how many rides should you be averaging a day, running a day?
For me, if you don't mind, I'll break it down how I do it.
Okay,
so I do it Monday through Friday. So I start from 7:30, no later than 8 in the morning. And I go home around maybe 6 to 7 o'clock at night. So Monday through Wednesday, I do at least 20 rides a day. 20 rides a day, it could either be from $130 to maybe almost $200 a day. But then with Uber, you have a 60 ride bonus. If you do 60 ride bonus, that's an extra $120 to $150 on top of whatever you make. So let's say Monday through Wednesday. By the end of Wednesday, before you hit the bonus, you're at maybe $500 to $600 threshold, give or take. And that's without the bonus. With the bonus, you're already at $750, or at low, worst case scenario, barely $600. And that's without doing Thursday and Friday. So with Thursday and Friday, I do 25 rides with both Uber and Lyft, and 30 rides with both Uber and Lyft too. And for me to make it work is whatever money I make with Lyft, as I do it part-time on the side, if I can match my second bonus I would have made if I worked Saturday and Sunday, which is another 55 rides to $150. If I can make Lyft part-time $150 or more, I surpass the second bonus I would have made if I worked on the weekends. And on top of that, I'm making my full-time money doing Uber. That's what we're talking about earlier in the show. Maximize your time. Because of that, I work Monday through Friday, working up to 50 hours a week, 115 rides total. If you do all of that, you make guaranteed at least, worst case scenario, $1,100 to $1,300 a week.
$1,100, $1,300 a week.
Yeah.
And is that more or less than what you were making at your best chef jobs?
More.
More?
Oh yeah,
So,
an extra 1,000 more.
Extra 1,000 more.
Yeah.
You were making less than that as a chef.
Yes.
Even at Google.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Because the restaurant industry is very competitive and stuff, and on top of that, it's because of that, you got a lot of for example, you got down the street in Los Angeles or wherever you live. In the Walmart radius, you got 5 or 6 restaurants. And in LA, for example, you go down the street, there's 5 or 6 sushi restaurants, for example. And because there's competition, because at the end of the day, the owner need to live off the profit and pay rent, pay the staff and stuff like that too. Even the owner's not making that much money, because at the end of the day, within the first year of having a business, it doesn't matter the restaurant stuff, you're already in the red, because you got to pay out your staff, your rent, the inventory and stuff. Because of that, they gotta make a living too.
Okay.
You know?
So about an average about $1,300 a week comes out to be about $5,200 a month.
Yes.
Okay.
But for me, per se, I make at least ballpark around 5.
Okay, about 5.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 times 12, and this is before or after taxes?
Here's the beauty of working for yourself. It's under 1099K. You file your own taxes. On top of that, for me, I file my own taxes, but also,
isn't that law changing soon?
I don't think so, but with a 1099 with an independent contractor, you write off things too. You write off mileage, and I think in Los Angeles it's 54 cents per mile. That alone, if you do full time, you're gonna have a return already.
Right.
because you log in a lot of mileage and stuff, and also
Sure.
you write off your cell phone because you need your cell phone to
Car
work.
depreciation,
Exactly.
all those different things.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
amenities like giving like your passengers water, gum, candy, whatever, your chargers and stuff,
Yeah.
gas,
Right.
which is gonna be a lot of money in my case too.
Yeah.
And your cell phone plan, your insurance, whatever that got to do with working with Uber and Lyft with your car per se, even your meals and stuff when you take a break. That goes into effect. That's why a lot of drivers that does their taxes right won't have to pay a lot, or you're gonna get a return in general because you're an
So
independent
you're
contractor.
obviously not going to do Uber and Lyft forever. You said, and once you're
Nope.
done with Uber Lyft, what's the next thing for Fast Ed?
For me, besides doing my podcast, is getting to investments.
Investments?
Yes.
Okay, so you're taking the money, you're living frugally, but you're taking the money and you're putting it directly towards savings and investments and
Yes.
everything. Very cool.
Yes.
Okay, and little by little, I mean, you could just keep doing this until you start to build it up. This is the long game, right? that you're playing
Exactly.
now.
You gotta look at the long term goal, not short term. A lot of people have a mistake at having a short term goal because they want
Right.
the instant gratification, but it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. Like what everybody says too.
Yeah.
If you want to become a Super Bowl champion or NBA Finals champion or World Series champion or a champion in life, it doesn't happen overnight. There's
Right.
a plan. That's why I tell everybody, you can't live day by day. You gotta have a plan.
Right.
You
Okay.
know?
Super cool. Well, you know what? Very cool. Believe it or not, we're at the top of the hour. We're actually at the end of the show.
Cool.
I really appreciate it. And here's the thing, for those of you who have been listening and stuff like that, the Money Lab isn't always about bringing in people who have, already made multi-million dollars, even though we've had people multi-million dollars on the show. We have people who haven't even started their own business, and we have people who have gone through the trials and tribulations of life, such as Edward here, or Fast Ed, and have kind of like slowly but surely honed in on their path on what they ultimately want to do. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing everything that you
Thank you so
shared
much
today.
for having me here.
And I'm looking forward to be on your show.
Oh, for sure.
And it should be a fun thing. But
Oh, yeah.
but definitely go check him out. Download the app Nai Radio, NAI Radio, or look up Fast Ed Radio on iTunes and Spreaker. It's very relaxed, casual. It's like a straight up radio show. Or you can follow him on Instagram at comedian Eddie, AEDDIE, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So I don't know how you even got that. So that's pretty awesome. So anyway, all right, cool. So that's our show for this week. Again, if you found this show to be valuable and know of someone else that could benefit from it, share it. Make sure you review us on iTunes. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube Live. We even have a Facebook group called The Money Lab, so join us there to dive even deeper into bad money story elimination strategies. Now, that's a wrap, and have an amazing week to apply the knowledge and the gemstones that you got from Edward today, or Eddie, Fast Ed, and we'll catch you next week on the Money Lab Live podcast, where we have mortgage specialist Yan Fard. This is Wei from the Six Figure Academy, and Edward Kim, Fast Ed, signing off. All right. We are good. And over on YouTube, we are almost done. Okay, thank you, YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. We will see you guys in the next episode. Kisses from Fast Ed.